This is Whitford Burrows. It's a mixture of salt marsh, lots of sand dunes and also the beach, and it's actually quite a long way from Swansea. It's about an hour and a half on the bus, 45 minutes in the car, and then 45 minutes of walking. But as you can see, it's well worth it. I'm sure a lot of people will be looking at this thing, it's just worthless old bits of grass. Well, it's not. It's called marram grass, and it's very, very important because this dune wouldn't be here without the marram grass. When the wind blows the sand in, the first plant to colonise is this, and it's only when the roots of the marram grass go deep into the sand and solidify and stabilise it that other plants and other wildlife can colonise. So this is a vitally important plant. Whitford Lighthouse is a very odd looking building. It was built, this one, in 1865, and it's been built out of cast iron just across the water in Llanelli over there. It's 44 feet tall, that's 13 metres, and it's the only cast iron lighthouse left in the whole of Europe. Just coming up to high tide now, and there are oyster catchers, hundreds of them actually, making their way to a high tide roost in front of me over there. And these places are important because they can rest up undisturbed, and then when the tide goes back out again, you'll see them going to feed on the mud flats here. There are maybe 400 or 500 there at the moment, but I have seen over 1,000 here on occasion. It's a really important place for oyster catchers. Really is an amazing place, and if you time your visit in autumn, winter, in midweek, then you may well end up having the whole place to yourself, as I've done today. Unfortunately, the strong wind means that I'm being sandblasted, so I'm heading to the woods for a bit of cover. Now I'm starting this walk in a caffi Cwmaifi. Helo, gai baned o de, os gwelwch yma, a cacen, gai chocolate brownie hefyd. Diolch yn fawr. Now, do you know what? The food here is fantastic, and the view of Cwmaifi itself is to die for. Cwmaifi. Now, it's about an hour and 20 minutes from Swansea by bus, about 35-40 minutes in the car, and it's owned and managed by the National Trust. And it's a mixture, really. You've got salt marsh on the one side and woodland on the other. It's a plantation forestry, which means that the trees are all introduced, but the most impressive ones are these. These are called Monterey Pine, and they come originally from North America. And one of the really interesting things about them is that the pine cones grow straight out of the branches. Lovely tame robin here, singing away. And do you know what? There are very few birds that sing in the winter, but the robin is one of them. And the winter song is slightly different to the spring song, but still lovely to hear, isn't it? It's a really good wood for the great spotted woodpecker, and actually I saw one just earlier. But even if you don't see the bird, the signs are here. See these holes, all these holes in the tree, all the way up the tree here? Well, that's been done by the great spotted woodpecker looking for grubs and for larvae hiding in the dead wood. Although it's the autumn, there are still quite a few butterflies around, and the most numerous is the speckled wood. It's a lovely brown one with cream spots on it, and there's one here that's been feeding not just on the ivy, which is in flower now of course, but also on the blackberries that have gone overripe because they're full of sugar. The Hyde is a great place to look out over the salt marsh, and the marsh itself was actually created by the National Trust. They broke a hole in the sea wall that allowed the sea to flow in here and create this amazing habitat. It's a brilliant place for all kinds of birds, including the little egret. Here's a very familiar fungus here. It's called the judge's wig or shaggy ink cap. Judge's wig because this shaggy bit here looks like a judge's wig, and when they're young you can eat them, but not when they're old. And why ink cap? Well, because the spores mix with water and it gives you ink, and they used to write with this in the olden days.
But take my advice. Gathering fungi for food is best left to the experts. Some of the tasty species are easily confused with the poisonous ones. You could spend much longer exploring comb ivy.
But for me, well, I'm heading back to the cafe for tea and cake.